In the previous chapter, suddenly, a whispering voice in Sarika's ear said, "That's enough." Sarika recognized it was Eru's voice. At that moment, a blue space portal opened in the air, drawing Karam and Cyan's attention. From the portal came a voice commanding Sarika, "Send the successor to the altar." Sarika respectfully obeyed and replied, "Yes, Eru." Cyan watched the scene with a sense of relief and quietly affirmed, "Finally, I get to meet Eru, the god of darkness." In Cyan's mind, memories from the past resurface. People say, the god of black fog is evil. The god of black fog kills without hesitation, and justifies it as if it was an act done out of consideration. He says in response, "It is what they desired. Others do not decide for you what is right or wrong. If you can just protect your own ethics by dying, then that is enough." Cyan evaluates that. Anyone would say that this logic is insane. But I want to tell them that this god is just trying to protect the weak. He's an idiot. Returning to the present, Cyan and Karam, with Eru's permission, are advancing through the azure spatial door. Ahead of them is an endless staircase leading upward. At the end is a golden throne with a man sitting atop it waiting for them. As they approach the man, dressed in the familiar cloak of assassins, with a hood over his head, he asks Cyan, "Do you know who I am?" Cyan, with a calm face, faces the man and replies, "Of course. The god of black fog, Eru." Eru asks Cyan for confirmation, "Was your name Cyan Vert? I've never seen you before. What evidence do you have to claim yourself my successor?" Cyan looks at Eru and responds, "I'm sure you've already sensed the power of the fog within me." Cyan's answer is clear evidence, and that makes Eru refrain from further questioning. He begins to explain to Cyan that, there are two ways to become the successor. One is if I give them the mist stone myself. The other is when the mist stone finds the qualified one by itself. Eru then points to Cyan and says, "I do not know you, so I assume the latter applies to this situation." Eru also admits that, it is also true that the mist stone, which should be at the altar, has suddenly disappeared last year. On top of that, it's surprising that you were able to awaken Karam. Even I was unable to track her down. You're handling her pretty well. At this moment, Karam, in the form of a little demon, expresses a displeased face thinking, "Who's handling whom?" Eru continues to express, "And those eyes, the light in them surpasses your age. I see, you're an outsider from a timeline that I am not a part of." In Cyan's mind, he wonders about what Eru has referred to, that he's not part of. Cyan then tells Eru, "I thought you were involved in me being here." Eru responds, "If you wanted an all-powerful and all-knowing god, you're in the wrong place. I'm not powerful. It's been long since my rights as a god have been taken away from me." Cyan hears Eru's answer and silently admits that, he's correct. "I shouldn't have expected anything." Eru then appears contemplative and expresses, "As quite convenient for me." Cyan wonders, "What are you talking about?" Eru, with an excited face, replies, "A perfect successor came here on his own. There is less work for me to do now. I didn't even have to do anything." Cyan acknowledges that and expresses, "You're as lazy as ever." The relaxed conversation between the two makes Karam somewhat confused and worried. Eru then adds, "Anyway, you've brought something rather annoying with you. Were you not satisfied with the demonic sword? You're attempting to take the power of the holy sword too." Cyan, upon hearing this, smirks mischievously and replies, I'm not trying to do anything as of now." With a face full of devilish smile, he takes out the holy sword's blade and says to Eru, "I just thought, that if the world doesn't know of this thing's existence, it might become useless." Seeing what Cyan is holding, Eru seems excited and says, "You possess quite the evil hobby. Well, I won't inquire any further, it is none of my business. But I will follow the rules." Eru then approached Cyan, his entire body emitting a dense and intimidating aura. Coldly, he interrogated Cyan, "I shall ask you as your absolute master. Dear successor who has inherited my powers, what do you see with this power?" Facing the terrifying aura and Eru's question, Cyan fell into a state of concentration. In his mind, he recalled his brother and thought, "I was asked the same question in my past life. My answer back then was, I will live for my brother." Cyan chuckled at his own foolishness and remarked, "What an idiotic response." Contemplating, he wondered why his response in his past life didn't bother him. Did he not want something more? Eru's words made him remember, as Eru reminded him, "Remember this, there is nothing more dangerous than blind faith." Perhaps, Cyan thought, Eru already knew of his pathetic end. He resolved that it had to be different this time. Slowly, Cyan approached Eru and replied to his question, I don't have grand plans like a great cause or some divine faith. I am going to use your power. Purely for self-serving purposes. Just for me. Surprised by Cyan's answer, Eru remarked, what is right and wrong is for you to decide. Are you confident that you will not regret this? You best answer carefully. Depending on your response, I might kill you on the spot. Maintaining his composure, Cyan responded, I don't care what kind of consequences my actions might have. I'm not going to follow anyone's orders. That is the path I am going to take. Through Cyan's response, Eru speculated, you seem to have some kind of plan, will you tell me about it? Cyan immediately replied, nope. Eru then said, it doesn't matter as long as you will purify my name. Well, I won't ask any more questions, you're quite boring. Suddenly, Karim rushed forward, using her demon-like body to attack Eru. Eru simply dodged and said, then I shall now converse with my daughter. Karim, feeling exposed, grew angry and charged at Eru. However, Eru held her back and said, you've changed quite a bit, do you like your owner that much? You're so obedient. Confused and angered, Karim asked, what the hell are you talking about? Eru, with an adorable expression, replied, I'm very happy to see you like this. This only made Karim more uncomfortable, and she shouted, get away from me, stop. I'm trying to be nice to you since I don't have anything to give to your owner. Crazy bastard. Owner, do something. Cyan, witnessing this, sarcastically remarked, wow, what a wholesome father-daughter relationship. Karim then grew even more uncomfortable with Cyan's comment. At that moment, Eru's beak-like mouth almost touched Karim. Suddenly, magical circles appeared, leaving Karim bewildered. The energy from the magic circles helped her return to her original form, further confusing her. Cyan, witnessing this, wondered, it's not using up my mana either. Did Eru use his own power to do that? Angered, Karim grabbed Eru by the collar and demanded, what have you done to me? Unperturbed, Eru replied, nothing much, I just gave you some of my life force. He then asked her, why? Do you not want it? Implying that Karim would need a physical body to serve Cyan's desires. Hearing this, Karim flew into a rage, screaming at her father and accusing him of being foolish for thinking about such indecent matters. Cyan, standing by, observed the interaction between the two assassins and concluded that Eru and Karim were indeed alike, like father, like daughter. The next day, in the student dormitory, Cyan was in a state of confusion. Brian, concerned, asked him, young master? What is going on? Cyan responded calmly with a smile, I don't know either. Just let it be. Brian, feeling uneasy, disagreed. He whispered to Cyan, but young master, I don't think this is something I can just let be. In front of them were Karim and Sarika, looking at each other with affectionate eyes, though their way of affection seemed different from ours. Karim was visibly annoyed by Sarika's presence, but she still tried to put on a smile and said, oh my, an instructor coming to see her student so early in the morning? Don't you think that others will start talking about how special your relationship is? Sarika, not one to back down, retorted, of course, it's all to guide him onto the right path. This is a perfectly normal relationship. Karim glared angrily at Sarika, his eyes like threatening bullets. Shouldn't a hall master be a bit more careful? Sarika replied sharply, what does it matter to you what I do? Mind your own business. The scene of the two women conversing resembled a mythical battle of wits. Their story continued as Karim declared, owner only needs me. You need to stay away from him. Sarika, equally defiant, asserted, he's my disciple. Cyan, standing amidst their conversation, wore a troubled expression, unsure of how to resolve the situation. He stood up and announced, I'm going on a walk. Brian, fearful, pleaded with Cyan, young master. Don't leave me with them. As the verbal duel between the two women continued, Brian sweated nervously, afraid of being caught in the crossfire. Outside the city, sunlight illuminated the towering buildings. People bustled about, engaging in commerce and conversation. Cyan chose a high vantage point for himself, sitting alone, admiring the city's beauty and feeling a sense of contentment. Suddenly, the smell of blood wafted in from a distance. With Cyan's keen senses, he detected it. In some alley, a student was being surrounded and attacked by others. He was kicked to the ground, crashing into a nearby barrel. The blow was so strong that he coughed up blood, clutching his aching body. 3 other students stood by, laughing and taunting. One suggested, hey, let's try that. Another eagerly agreed, damn, you're so. Let's do it right now. Immediately, he conjured an energy sphere, advancing towards the bullied student. Then, he forcibly opened the student's mouth and said, I brought you a little snack. Your friend brought a handmade snack for you. You're gonna eat it, right? As he spoke, he attempted to launch the energy sphere towards the bullied student. He grinned with sadistic pleasure. The bullied student, terrified, closed his eyes tightly, trying to escape. Suddenly, a commanding voice demanded that the bully stop his cruel actions. It was Erin. She sternly questioned the violent student. Doing something so cruel to a fellow student? Aren't you embarrassed to call yourself a noble? The violent student, interrupted and angered, retorted, I happen to be Barrett Louismil, the oldest son of the Garam Kingdom's Duke Louismil household. He then asked for her identity. Erin, standing tall with crossed arms, introduced herself proudly. I'm the princess of the Yushif Empire, Erin Severus.
Thank you all for watching our video today. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to our channel and turning on notifications so you won't miss any future uploads. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below about what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.